These brothers own over $9 million worth of Picasso paintings, and yet they don't care about artwork at all. Meet David and Ezra Nahmad, two of the richest art collectors in the world. They're controversial businessmen who operate with one intention and one intention only: to make money, buying low and selling high. While this has upset the art community, the truth is that the brothers are masters of their craft. So much so that with over 4,000 expensive works of art, the Nahmads are now considered mega dealers of the modern and impressionist art worlds. What's in their collection? How much is it all worth? Grab an easel and let's find out. Actually, keep your paintbrushes at bay for a moment, because before we dive into the big budget artwork, let's get a feel for who these brothers are. What's their story? While the pair came from Lebanese descent, part of their roots also stem from Monaco. And where do they live? In a city that welcomes billionaires every day, the high rollers playground and mega yacht dock that is Monte Carlo. These brothers own the most valuable art collection in the world, but ironically, they aren't die-hard art fans, nor are they artists by trade. They're just cunning businessmen out to make a few bucks. Well, more than a few bucks. You see, the Nahmads were already rolling in the dough before they started focusing primarily on buying, trading, and selling world-famous pieces of art. Before they became art dealers, they were excelling in the world of investment banking, following on from testing the waters of the Italian stock market in their teenage years. And seeing as they live in Monte Carlo, it shouldn't come as much of a surprise that David had a lust for extremely high-stakes blackjack, and he certainly reaped the rewards. So how do they do it? How does their mega successful art operation work? It's pretty simple, really. They buy an expensive piece by a big-name player, store it for a while, and let the value accumulate, then resell it for a truckload more cash when demands are at an all-time high. This brutal, single-minded approach to art ownership, treating artists as brands and paintings as serial-numbered products, has actually given the Nahmads a rather fearsome reputation in the art world. Clearly, this family is intrigued by art, or rather, money. So much so that Ezra's son Joseph has found himself a place at the table, getting in on the art dealing action in London. As a branch of one of the world's most prominent art dynasties, the expectations for Joseph to succeed couldn't be higher. But enough about the kid. Let's shift our focus back to the kingpins, the Nahmad brothers, and more specifically, their absurdly expensive, constantly envied collection. In Ezra and David's high-security warehouse, which we'll circle back to in just a moment, sit close to 5,000 works of art at any given time, encompassing some of the most famous artists that have ever walked the earth. We're talking works of art by Claude Monet and Pierre-Auguste Renoir, each of whom are considered founders of the French Impressionist movement, plus Henri Matisse, a French draftsman and sculptor renowned for his lively use of color, and Mark Rothko, a well-known American abstract painter. All up, the Nahmad collection covers some 30 blue-chip artists, none of which carry a name as famous and as sought after as that of Pablo Picasso. The brothers remarkably own close to 300 Picasso creations, carrying a total market value within the ballpark of, hold on here paintbrushes, people, nearly $900 million. Picasso alone makes up for almost a third of their collection, which rounds out to an astounding $3 billion. Here's the thought: why do the brothers focus on era-defining artists like Monet and Picasso that are already worth millions of dollars? Why not acquire unique pieces by up-and-coming visionaries on the brink of fame whose artwork will soon be worth 10, 100, or 1,000 times more than it is today? Well, David Nahmad adopts the same low-risk, secure strategy to art as he did to investing and investment banking. If you ask him, he'll say that Monet and Picasso are like Microsoft and Coca-Cola. We know the return is less big than on contemporary paintings, but at least it's more secure. On the one hand, the brothers' fame comes from the astounding value of their entire collection, but they also find themselves in a spotlight specifically for their extensive, unrivaled portfolio of Picassos. If you're not too familiar with the Spanish artist, here's a quick history lesson. Pablo Picasso was and still is considered the most dominant and influential artist of the first half of the 20th century. He pioneered the Cubist movement, invented the collage concept, and made significant contributions to styles of surrealism, which look like this, and symbolism, which can look like this. What you're looking at now is Picasso's Guernica, which is one of the most powerful political statements made in any Picasso creation. He painted it as an immediate reaction to the Nazi attack on the town of Guernica during the Spanish Civil War. While this painting has continually drawn attention for its political commentary, or at least interpretations which reflect a commentary, it's still arguably not his most famous piece. That accolade often goes to this piece, The Weeping Woman. Any guesses how much it's valued? $1 million? $5 million? Nope. Weeping Woman is now valued by Sotheby's in excess of $100 million, and still, incredibly, it's far from his most valuable work of art. Pablo Picasso's 1955 painting called La Femme d'Alger raked in an astounding $179.4 million at a 2015 auction. the highest price ever paid for artwork at the time. With astonishingly high values attached to the majority of Picasso paintings, the Nahmad brothers need to ensure that they're taking every possible step to protect their collection, keeping it safe and secure, and in the efforts of pure business, doing so as cheaply as possible. So where do the world's front-running art collectors store their invaluable goods? Here's your answer, folks. A duty-free warehouse next to the airport in Geneva, Switzerland. The world's richest collectors became attracted to the idea of the so-called free port for its near-impenetrable security and strict confidentiality. However, above all, being in a duty-free zone, it carries an array of special tax advantages as well. Besides the brothers' artwork and other collectors' finest selections, rich clients also tend to store physical gold, high-end jewelry, top-secret documents, expensive cars, and priceless historic artifacts. Together with a net worth of $3.3 billion, $1.9 billion of which belongs to David and the rest to Ezra, this duo holds top spot as the wealthiest art dealers on the entire planet. But they're not without some stiff competition. Not far behind the pair is the founder of Asylum Records and DreamWorks, David Geffen. His $2.3 billion collection consists mainly of post-war American artists like Mark Rothko and Jackson Pollock. It's said that Geffen actually barely owns 50 major works of art, a tiny number as far as billionaire collections go. But what he lacks in quantity, he makes up for in spades with exceptional quality. Not to be overlooked is the collection of Eli and Edith Broad. Their 2,000-piece display is considered one of the greatest of contemporary art, many of which are on display at the Broad Museum in Los Angeles for all to see. All up a $2.2 billion haul. Not bad for equal third place. We say equal because also boasting a $2.2 billion showcase is this guy, Philip Niarchos, whose collection is highlighted by Van Gogh and Biscay self-portraits. Narrowly trailing with a $1.4 billion room full of art is the founder of fashion brands Gucci and Yves Saint Laurent, Francois Pinault. His 2,500-piece collection sways more toward modern and contemporary art, with famous names like Mark Rothko, Andy Warhol, and Jeff Koons. We know, unless you're a massive art fan yourself, you've likely never heard of these collectors, and that's okay. So here's a couple of names that will certainly resonate. George Lucas and Steven Spielberg, the world-famous film directors, Lucas for Star Wars and Spielberg for Jaws and a host of others, each hoard incredible stockpiles of exclusive artwork. Spielberg showcases a significant collection focused on the impressionists, valued at $240 million. Lucas's collection, on the other hand, is valued at $600 million and is so big that at one point he was considering opening a museum in Chicago called the Lucas Museum of Narrative Art. Still, even with $600 million, it's barely 20% of what the Nahmad brothers have to their name. Time for a bonus fact. The most expensive piece of art ever sold is this one, Salvator Mundi by Leonardo da Vinci. It auctioned for a whopping $450 million. Thanks for watching. See you next time.